Every act of creation is first an act of utter destruction. That's what Pablo Picasso, a very world-famous artist, spoke about art. But I believe if you take that little quote and then you stretch it, what you get is a fundamental truth. A truth that we can apply everywhere, including our own lives. Let me show you how with a story. In India, you never marry one person. You marry their parents and their grandparents. In the June of 2010, I married my wife, her parents, and her grandparents. And trust me, it was nothing but a comedy of errors. If you look at me, and if you've interacted with me before, you would see that I'm a big guy. Boisterous, loud, friendly, talkative, and I'm probably cracking jokes all the time. And my in-laws were as far away from that as possible. They were the kind of people who would get up on Saturday morning, 6 a.m., and go to the temple, and then to the bank, and then drink filter coffee and have idli and peanut toast. I would get up at 11, stuff myself with biryani, and go back to sleep. Worlds apart. So needless to say, there was a lot of tension, and we took a lot of effort to actually gel well. But my wife's grandmother, Janaki Paati, with her it was different. In fact, she was different. She grew up in a totally different age. I'm talking the time when we had like bullock carts in India. We had like big banyan trees and schools under them. We had child marriage. We had cultural appeal. We had World War II and the Quit India boom. She grew up at that time. She was a walking, talking history book. And I was as far away from that as possible again. But luckily for us, we gelled. And we just got closer and closer and closer that I no longer had to call her Janaki Paati, but just Paati. And for those of you who don't know, Paati means grandmother in Tamil. We had a gala time, because like I said, she's a history book, but she had a knack for telling stories. She would tell me stories of her childhood. She would tell me about the time when she shifted to Bangalore. She even told me about the time when she had to go to school. You see, she grew up in a very tiny fly-speck village, right? It's called Puliur, somewhere in South India. And if this is India, this big, you can even find it with a magnifying glass. Fly-speck village. And she was in 5th standard. But when she was in 5th standard, she had one problem. Do you know what that was? Her school did not have 6th standard. Now, she was one of the first people in her village to study, first woman. And she wanted to go more than 5th. But she had no option. So you know what she did? She asked everybody around her on how can I go and study more. What she did find was that in a village far, far away, almost a town, there was a school which went up to 9th standard. And what would you or I have done? Call for Ola or Uber? Now, this was a time when we didn't even have running water, let alone electricity or a mobile phone. You know what she did? Bullock carts. She had class and style, and every day she would go to school in a bullock cart. Study, come back again. I'm not joking. We had Ola and Uber, she had a bullock cart on demand. And that's not all. When she reached 7th standard, the school increased the fees. My Paati, very intelligent. She didn't give up. You know what she did? She convinced her headmaster to give her a scholarship just because she was a girl. And she got it. She actually got the school to pay her to study. And here's the kicker. She got married when she was in 8th standard. 8th standard, okay? Well, she's like a little kid, right? And she's married in 8th standard. She had to do housework. She had to do cleaning. She had to do cooking. But you know what she got? She got her husband, the tata, to do her homework. I don't even know how to wrap my head around this. But we had good times. We would just sit on the sofa, the window behind us, the sunlight just warming us, and I'd be just holding her hand. We'd have a great time. But good times never last. Early 2016, she was diagnosed with intestinal cancer. Now, according to American Cancer Institute, intestinal cancer is a very, very rare form of cancer. It affects 0.3% of the entire world. 7.6 billion people. And my one Paati, my beloved little grandma, who's probably this tall, she got that. How do you even make sense of something like this? She didn't smoke, she didn't drink, she didn't do drugs. She ate healthy, she didn't exercise. She'd get up at 4 a.m. and sing Suprabhat. And yet, here she was, dying of cancer. And this cancer, I'll tell you, is not a good thing. It's a bad, evil disease where the cell just grow and grow and grow like a hungry little wolf. It'll just eat her up from within. And I was in a state of shock because here she was, my beloved little Paati, shriveling away and dying, withering into one little husk. So what did I do? I started doing research so that I could understand this better. I started reading every single book I could find, speaking to doctors, speaking to survivors. And this is what I found. Pretty much the standard stuff. Cancer happens when old cells in the body die and they're replaced, but this replacement is uncontrolled. So cells just increase and increase and increase uncontrollably. They form lumps. Sometimes they're bad, sometimes they just affect the cells. Same stuff that you would find everywhere. I found this from American Cancer Institute, National Institute of Cancer, even Dhwani Memorial Institute. But you know what's the kicker? Something that you never learn from TV shows, something that you never learn from movies. Nobody knows what causes cancer. Nobody! The best doctors know, the best surgeons, the best oncologists have no clue what causes cancer. They have risk factors, right? Smoking can increase your probability. Drinking, a bad obesity, a bad diet. All these things can increase your risk of cancer, but nobody knows what exactly causes it. And I was in a state of shock. Think about it. I could smoke 40 cigarettes a day. I could drink a bottle of whiskey every single night. I could eat pizza for every single meal, and I would never get cancer. But my Paati, who would do Sudoku and knitting for fun, here she was, dying a slow and painful death, and there was nothing we could do. And when the shock of this realization faded, the one thing remained: pain. Pain because my Paati was in pain. Pain because the family around me was in pain. And pain because I was impotent, useless to do anything to help her heal. And that's when I remembered. Every act of creation is first an act of destruction. So what I have to say is this: all of us will have something that is dear and we'll lose it. All of us will have dreams that will crash and burn. All of us will taste the bitter ash of defeat. But at that time, if we remember this, that every act of creation is nothing but destruction, we will have the hope and strength to go on.